You are listening to an all-new episode of the Model Experience podcast live from the Model House.
The Model Experience is the #1 resource for models. Real models, real stories, real resources.
Visit themodelexperience.net to learn more and be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Model Experience.
Okay, hey everybody, how you doing? You good? Everyone looks so beautiful. How are you guys feeling after the show? Good? Was it a good experience? Awesome. Well, we're super excited to be here today to have a discussion that I think is going to be really beneficial for all of you. For those of you who don't know, I'm Diandra. I'll be your moderator today, and I'll let you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
All right, I'm Dijon Talton. I was also one of the hosts of the Diandra, but I'm also an actor and a director and a creator.
My name is Jessica Rich. I was a designer at the Amazing Experience, and I designed shoes.
Hi, I'm Datari Turner. I'm a film television producer on my own production company. Used to model 20 years ago.
And we'll talk about that for sure. So we brought all these amazing people here today to give you guys a little perspective on how networking has gotten to them to where they are now. So the #1 question we get from you guys when we talk to you on the phones and we're trying to get you to sell the tickets is, what is the takeaway going to be? And really, obviously, it's the coaching that we give you, it's the photos that we give you, it's the experience on the runway, but the #1 thing is networking. This is an experience to meet people and to broaden those networks so that you can, have a bunch of opportunities after. So I guess my first question for you guys is, what point in time or how has networking contributed to your success now?
Networking is it's a weird thing because, you don't want to seem thirsty. You don't want to, even for myself, I'm kind of an introvert, so it's hard. But I think the best way to network is when you do work with people. You just keep in contact, and maybe you send, you remember people's birthdays, you send maybe a bottle of flowers or something just to stay in contact with people. When I was in the fashion industry, I started my career with the Ford modeling agency, and I did a bunch of really, really big campaigns from Banana Republic to Abercrombie & Fitch to Hilfiger. And I would be meeting all of these fantastic people and very successful people, rich people in music and TV, and they all like me, but I always tried to figure out, how do I make this work for me? How can these relationships really work for me? And, when I ventured into film and television, I found a lot of those relationships, and the people that I stayed in contact with, they were a big service for me. Just one quick example, I went on tour with Jay-Z in 2006, and we shot this Rockaware campaign around, his Kingdom Come tour. So it's myself, Zoe Saldana, LeBron James, who he was mentoring at the time, and we traveled all over the world, started in South Africa, went to Dubai, went to, Thailand. And, I kept in contact with LeBron. I kept in contact with everybody. Fast forward to last year, I executive produced a series with LeBron called Shut Up and Dribble for Showtime. We just got nominated for an Image Award. And had I not kept in contact with LeBron and with his people, I wouldn't have been able to produce that series with him. So that's just one, way that relationships work. Just stay in contact with people.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. I come from reality television. I'm not sure if you guys ever saw a show called Real Chance of Love on VH1 about 10 years ago. But that was my big claim to fame. I was all over the place, hosting parties, doing all these things. And I always wanted to know what I'm going to do next. I moved to Los Angeles. I started, connecting with everyone that I met at all the parties. And now I'm in this new circle of friends. I'm meeting all these celebrities. And I never knew what I was going to do with those contacts. So then we fast forward 4 more years, and I started an online store. And I didn't really sell too much. I had jewelry and stuff, and I was giving to all my friends, but I wasn't making a ton of money. And then one day I woke up and, you know what? I'm going to start a PR firm, and I'm going to use my PR contacts and all the people that I've met to now give services to brands, and I can now pass these clothing items on to all my friends that I've met in this industry for the last 5 years. And then after the contracts would expire, I'd be like, okay, now you guys don't need me anymore because you guys are a major brand already, and now what am I supposed to do now? I'm just going to sit here and not make money? No, I opened my own online store. So now me and the brands that I was working for are now competitors, and now they're trying to be me, and now it's crazy. I've had everyone from J-Lo to God, all the good sisters. Like, I've had like a million people, Beyonce, a lot of people in my shoes, and it's all because I've been connecting the dots and keeping the connections open with all the people. And I would say they're natural, real connections, and not people that I'm just trying to kiss ass, or like people that I actually like really genuinely love and care about. And people who support me in this business, I will always support. And I feel like it's very important to always keep your contacts close to you, because you never know where you can take it. And back with your celebrity placement thing, I had J-Lo's manager that I've known for like 4 years before I even had a brand. And one day I'm like, you know what? Can I please ask you to give these to J-Lo? And he did. And she wore my shoes last October for the AMAs. So that was pretty crazy. So I think you guys should kiss all, make sure you keep all your connections very close to you.
I think what she said that's really important is making sure to be able to connect the dots. I don't think there's one exact way how you can properly network, like from being an introvert to being an extrovert. I think play to your strong suits. I have a friend who went to a director on Instagram and DM'd him and got a lead in a movie a couple months ago. I haven't had that story. But I've worked with the same filmmakers so many times. Ava DuVernay 3 times, Datari twice, Ryan Murphy 3 times, Lena Waithe 2 times. So it's really about not just who you know, but who knows what you can do. So putting yourself in position to be able to show your talents and show your skill sets in a place of excellence. So many times we get so hasty to want to walk into a room or go into an audition or be seen, sometimes prematurely to when we're ready. And there isn't an opportunity to get that first impression back again. So with things like the model experience and different things we're gonna be doing, you have a chance to kind of hone those skills. Like, training is so important, making sure you're at the best when you walk in that room to be competitive against everyone in your age range. You might be, 21 years old going against Yara, who has a show on Freeform, who's been doing this for 20 years. And you want to be able to walk in that room and see her and be like, yo, I have as much, if not more, to offer as she does. So I think it's just being strategic in your networking, making sure that it's aligning with your calling, what God has for you specifically, and also knowing what you have to bring when you make those connections that make you different than anybody else.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of strategy, I think a lot of people come to our program thinking that it's just about modeling, and that it's, modeling, it's the one thing, you're on camera and that's the job. When in reality, there's so much more work that goes on behind the camera. So what tips do you guys have off camera or off the runway that you think have contributed to your success or your projects now?
I mean, for me, I got discovered when I was 19. I was on a football scholarship at Oklahoma. And I never thought I would be in the entertainment business, but I ended up winning this competition that this woman asked me to say. I mean, that doesn't happen today because of social media. This was like the late 90s. But once I got signed with Ford and I started working a lot, again, one of the things that I always did was send personal handwritten thank you cards. I think that's really, really important, because in our business, a lot of times talent, they aren't really grateful, they think they don't have to do that, or like, I'm with Ford, or I'm with Wilhelmina, I'm making $10,000 a day, they should be blessed to have me. Like, people don't really think to like, just say thank you. I mean, gratitude is sort of like my word, like, I mean, I think probably most of us come from humble beginnings. I think I'm like the first generation person in my family that, can say they made 7 figures or whatever. So I think that just doing that, Another thing I would say is just like to study photos, study magazines. You got to know what's going on in the industry, like what everybody else is doing, like. Kobe, basketball players, they look Kobe, he wanted to be Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Like, he studied everything Jordan did. LeBron studied all the greats. Like, because I have a sports background, I feel like I attack everything from that mind state. And so when I was modeling, I spent hours looking through magazines, just seeing what everybody else was doing, seeing what kind of looks people were doing, seeing what kind of poses people were doing. I think it's important for you to know, how to take pictures, because there's a lot of beautiful people that don't photograph well, and there's a lot of people that look average that photograph like supermodels. And then you see some of these supermodels in a restaurant, you like, damn, she ain't even that bad. Like, how's she working every day? But that's because she knows how to take photos, and like you should know what side of your face is the best side. You should know what side of your body is best. You should know how to make yourself look slender, like more slim. You just got to know your body. Like a NBA, like you got to think about it. If you want somebody to pay you to do a job, you in the pros, you in the NBA. And like, there's no basketball player that's in the NBA or football player that's in the NFL that's gonna step out on the field and not know everything about the game because somebody is paying them to do this. So this is a real career, I was always on time. When I modeled, I was always, I was just professional, like I said, you send thank you cards, you there early, but I am a big believer that in the fashion industry, because you don't have any unions, you don't have the Screen Actors Guild or like the Producers Guild to protect you really. I mean, there's a lot of horror stories in the fashion business. It was a wild ride. I think that you want to keep everything you're doing between the hours of 8 and 8. If you're not really a person that's like in the drugs like that, or you're not like, don't get yourself caught up in these situations because it could actually hurt you worse if you at one of these parties. In my day, it was like the Versace mansion and things like that. You go to one of these parties, there's all kind of weird shit going on. And it'll hurt you worse if you at one of those parties and somebody asks you to do that, and then you be like, nah, I'm cool, because then everybody's looking at you like, okay, well, why you here? Because you're going to tell on everybody. Or like people don't. So try to just stay, if you're not about that life, keep everything between the hours of 8 and 8, so you can stay professional.
I love it. For me, I would say my biggest, consistency for sure. Consistency, I would say for 10 years, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And then you keep going at something, you just keep going at it, it's going to eventually show itself. I used to want to be like a TV host. I still kind of want to still be it, but I feel like God put me in the place that he wanted me to be, and it just took constant, keep going. So even if you guys want to be models, if you guys are not there yet, if you booked your first job, keep going, keep exercising, keep looking good. Health is very key. Like even like you, like I was out 2 nights ago and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I need to be in a meeting at 8 a.m. But I'm trying to also live my life at the same time. It's all about balance, because this business can make you go crazy, and I'm even at all levels. Even when you're like at the top, you could be like, okay, I have to keep going. Like now when you get to a certain level, you have to keep that momentum, and that gets very frustrating as well. So if you guys are Christian, I'm very Christian. I'm very, I pray every night. This world will make you go crazy. So you definitely need balance. And I'd say family members as well are really good for you as well. Like call your mom, because life is short, and you just need everyone around you to continue, be amazing,
I think to kind of piggyback on what both of them said, I think you practice how you want to play, so I think before you get on stage, you should be operating in a place of integrity and character for when you get there. I think people think, when I arrive, I will do this. When I arrive, my life will be better. But how you act now is how you act then. I know that, to go back to also networking, people want to work with who they like. You can be as talented as you want to, but a positive attitude goes a very long way. Walking on set, saying hi to every makeup artist, every PA, every person holding a hand, making sure you go by and say goodbye to everybody, giving them a hug when someone's having a negative day, a smile. Especially if you're in a position of power as a model or an actor or entertainer, oftentimes people idolize these people. And they almost make them subhuman. So your simple smile or a laugh or a gesture, or hey, you okay? Did you eat today? You want some water? They're asking you if you want water. Do you want water? Those little gestures hold a lot of weight. And it also shows the character of who you are, because the question becomes, why do you want to do this? When you get the platform, what are you going to use it for? Is it because you like to take photos, you want to be famous, you want money? All those things are so fleeting and so empty that there has to be some type of foundation for you to stand upon. So when you are rich and you are famous, you have a message that you are effective and not affected by all those things Datari talked about. And I think past just your own personal thing, it's like, all right, I'm now prepared as a human being to be on this platform, but is my gifting prepared? And if they're not offering opportunities, how do I go get them? A strength of mine is I also am creative and also very business-minded. So the thing that is a strong suit for me is connecting the dots. All right, cool. If you're not giving me this role, I'm gonna create a role. If you're not offering me an opportunity, I'm gonna make one. And using those networking opportunities to make sure that nobody can tell you no. And then when people want to see you win, they want to rally behind you. They want to help you. They want to show up for you because you've shown up for them.
That was beautifully said. So I think all of you mentioned one thing, and it was balance. So how do all of you balance that business mind while also still sharpening your tool as a creative?
I mean, I think that everybody in this room is a boss and a CEO. You're the CEO of yourself. You know, that you're who you are, that's your brand. You the boss of yourself. You're a CEO. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, what is, as Dijon even said, what is your mission statement in life? Like, you know, to stop and think about, what is your mission statement in life? What do you stand for? What do you want people to, if you die tomorrow, what is it that you want people to say about you, what you stood for? You should ask yourself these things, like, what is my mission statement? What is it that I want to say? You know, I think that you gotta go into it. If you look at yourself like you a CEO and you already a boss of such and such Inc., whoever your names are, then you will automatically approach it like a business. You know, Naomi Campbell is probably the greatest black supermodel ever, but Tyra Banks got more money than her because Tyra Banks, you know, was smart enough to say, you know what? You know, a lot of these girls all over the country, you know, every young girl want to be a model in the same way that every young boy want to be a rock and a hip hop star or athlete. And these girls are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for these model competitions that really they not getting discovered at. It's all a joke. Like, it's all a joke, you know, because real modeling agents don't charge you anything. Like, if they think that you got the look, they will find it. They will pay for your pictures. They will put you in a model's apartment. You won't have to spend a dime, you know. And so she saw that, and she's like, let me do a TV show called America's Next Top Model. And that series has made her worth $100 million. Like, that series is, in every country, they have a version of America's Next Top Model. It's Australia's Next Top Model, it's France, and she the executive producer of all of them. And they have the Tyra Banks of that country hosting those shows. So if she hadn't have been thinking of, you know, if she didn't have a business mind, she wouldn't have thought of something like that that could yield her more money than she would ever make in the fashion business. Same thing with Heidi Klum. She's made $100 million off Project Runway. Same thing with Giselle. She's made hundreds of millions of dollars off of her shoe sandal line, you know, way more than Victoria's Secret ever paid her. You know, so I think that, like, you gotta think like a business person. You know, when you have that opportunity, you got a very short window to be a model, almost like being an athlete. Like, that reign is gonna come to an end. So you need to think about all the ways you can get a bag when you get on, you know, that you can. But always, you know, as Dijon said, you know, as Jessica said, I mean, gratitude is really important, you know, like that is just staying humble, having gratitude. People do want to work with people that they love. Lamaya's sister, Megan Good, I made 7 movies with her, you know, and we work together because we like to be around each other. We like each other, you know, as humans, you know? And so the same thing with Dijon, like, you know, people want to work with people that they love and like, that are professional, they know it's going to get the job done. And so everything has got to be a business, because at the end of the day, you in a business. And if you couldn't be there, they wouldn't pay you. So that's just, it's, the whole thing is a business.
Yeah, balance.
For me, I would say my health is everything first before anything, because I've been through a lot of situations with my family having cancer, and I know that people keep going, but you can do that, but you have to also take care of your mind first. Like, I can't wake up in the morning and make new designs and get more influencers or celebrities in my brand if I don't have my own woosah, you know what I mean? So sleeping for me is important, eating healthy, working out. When I look amazing, I feel amazing, I can do anything. When I have 4 hours of sleep, I am mad, I'm a bitch, I'm pissed off the next day. Like, do not call me. So for me, balance before anything is my health. And after that, then I can like sit back and be like, okay, what's next? Is my Instagram okay? Is my social media? Social media is very important, you guys. Like, I'm obsessed with social media. You guys have to have your Instagrams on point, 3 pictures a day at minimum. If you don't have a photographer, have any random valet person shoot you. Like, I will literally go to dinner and be like, oh, take a picture of me. I'll give them a tip, $5, just to take like a full photo shoot in front of like Mastros. You know what I mean? I do this on the regular, so I think social media is very important. If you want to work with somebody like I know a lot of people want to work with like brands like Fashion Nova and all these people, DM them. Be like, hey, I'm new to the game. You don't have to pay me anything. Just give me free clothes. I can promote content for you. And this is going to keep your followers going because that Fashion Nova will not repost you. Hey, DM me. I need girls all the time. So DM me. I'll give you guys free shoes. But no, it's all about your Instagram and your following and just your presence in the world. And Instagram's #1. So those are my top 2, health and Instagram.
I'll piggyback that. I kind of separate the two. To me, I feel like your actual life and your journey prepares you for the creative. Of course, you train and you take classes and have coaches, but I also think life experience, you can only give as much as you have within you. So pouring into yourself, reading books, reading the Bible, praying, whatever your medium is or connection is, that's the depth people are looking for. I have a question. Who here wants to do something else other than model? Like act, sing, all those kind of things. See, so pretty much everybody else already has their mindset past just being a model, because being a model is amazing, but like he said, it's a short, shelf life. So it's also giving yourself permission to take the shackles off of you or the boundaries. Oftentimes they would tell you, choose one, be great at this, and that is great. If you have a God-given gift, if it's modeling, if it's acting, if it's singing, hone that first, but then also be open to other opportunities, because you might want to be a model, but you might actually be meant to be a producer or a designer or an actor or a director or the CEO of a company. So allowing yourself to experience your journey and what God created it kind of for you to be.
Totally. So I think you're basically saying adaptability. And I think people forget that. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not just one-dimensional. You have to be ready for change. So how do you guys deal with that in your industry? Like getting curveballs. Like you started Datari as a model, but now you're a producer. Like how did that evolve? How did you take what steps did you take?
I mean, I believe in God. I pray multiple times a day. My faith is very important to me. That is something that keeps me balanced. I just try to let God lead the way, honestly. And being open to change, and that what you may have for yourself, God could have something better, and I didn't plan on, I grew up in the Bay Area, a place called Richmond, California, where a lot of people don't make it out, and even though it's only 6 hours away from here, might as well be in, Hollywood might as well have been in Dubai. Like it just wasn't, it didn't seem reasonable, realistic. But once I got into the fashion business, first of all, guys, fashion industry is the only industry where women completely dominate the industry. So, I was at the time when I was, modeling, I was considered to be a male supermodel. I worked all the time. But I would still be on jobs where women, I was doing Hilfiger. I remember I was making $10,000 a day. Rebecca Romaine was getting paid $1 million, and so I knew I couldn't get rich being a fashion model. I lived in New York. I was making, great money. But I wasn't getting rich, and so I started thinking about it. And then, being a 40-year-old, my agency used to always tell me, yeah, you can model forever. You can do catalog. You could do Bloomingdale's and Sunday paper catalog forever, all this stuff. And I'm like, honestly, I like food. I really like food. And I just couldn't see myself going to auditions and carrying a portfolio and having, because it's really not modeling's not really a skill set. You don't get a chance, you don't get to choose how tall you are, you don't get to choose the symmetry of your face, how high your cheekbones are, you don't get to choose any of that. So You know, I was paranoid a lot of the times when I did model because I always felt like, you know, this is the day that I'm gonna show up on set and they're gonna realize I really don't look. Why are they paying me? You know, so I was paranoid about it too, and so you know, I was depressed a lot when I modeled. To be honest, like number one, I couldn't eat, and you know, I was living out of a suitcase. I basically had to chase the globe for my money, and so I couldn't really have a lot of like, you know, I was never in one place, you know, so I was just sort of like, well, as somebody that always thinks about the future or what my life is gonna look like when I'm 30, 40, 50, I was like, you know what, I need to figure this shit out because, you know, it's great now, I'm on billboards and things like that, but that's not gonna last, you know, and so I went back to ground zero. Like the only thing I ever loved as a kid other than playing sports was movies. I would cut class in high school, go to Berkeley, stay in the movie theater all day, but I didn't know what that meant because I didn't really want to be an actor. And so when I was in New York, I was living there. This was right after 9/11. I saw the plane crash into the Trade Center in person, and you know, it was a really depressing time in the country in New York, and so I was staying in the house a lot. And I went and bought this book called Save the Cat that taught me, it basically teaches you how to structure a screenplay. And then I bought another book called Writing Treatments That Sell that, you know, basically told me to like, you know, this is how you pitch ideas to TV and film. And it said to write about something that you knew. And that sort of was how the genesis of Video Girl, how that came about. And I wrote this script, and I remember I told my girl at the time in New York, I'm like, I'm moving to LA to be a screenwriter. She's like, yeah, okay. Like, you know, laughing or whatever. Thought I was going through a midlife crisis at 23. But I did, you know. She didn't, you know, I moved. I got me a little studio apartment in the Valley. I was still paying for my place in New York. It was a studio. I had a blow-up mattress and a desk, and all I did was a table, and all I did was just write every day and drop my screenplay off to different companies. And one night I was out, and then I ran into Megan, and you know, I approached her. I think the first time we kind of like, we both had been drinking. I said something sarcastic. She wasn't feeling it, but I got her number, and then I called her and was like, would you read my screenplay? And blah, blah, blah. And the rest, make a long story longer or shorter, the rest is history. She came on board to attach to my film and started that journey of years that it took to help me get that film made. And I mean, I was broke for a while, you know, like after making a lot of money, like you know, because I wanted people to see me as a writer, you know, and so I didn't want to be on billboards in my underwear, you know. I was trying to get people to see, you know, to see me as something more. But you know, if you can stay the course and, you know, have faith and don't give up, because this business is you know, it really, perseverance is really important because it'll really test your faith, and you know, it will try to make you feel bad about yourself, or you're not good enough, or you don't have, you know. And I'm talking too long, so I'm gonna pass the mic. But it's really, you know, just don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Don't give up. And that's the one thing I can say, because once you give up, you're no longer in the game. And sometimes it takes, you know, I'll be 40 years old in 3 weeks, you know, and I just couldn't even imagine had I quit. Like, you know, God had a whole different, you know, door that opened for me once I went through the suffering and the pain and, you know, the things I was gonna have to go through to get to where I am now. So,
happy birthday!
Got one too, right?
I know, 2 days.
Wednesday.
Oh my gosh. I didn't plan on doing what I'm doing either, honestly. I was just trying to wing it my whole life, to be honest. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but the PR, I mean, I guess that was God showing me, okay, Jess, you have the connects. which is the most important thing in this business, is having the contacts. And I'm going to show you that you're going to do this for yourself. So when the contracts got, let me go, I ran downtown. I got like 10 different styles of stuff from the alley. I spent $1,000 on my website. I got like $500 in inventory. And the whole time, when I'm going to like the brand's offices, I would peep little things. I don't know why. I just knew I had to like figure out what they were doing. I don't know why God said like pay attention, but I found out what platform they were using. I snipped around to find out where they're getting their clothes from. So when it came to me opening my own store, I already knew everything because I was already snipping around to find out how they did it. So I basically did exactly what I did for them. I got this stuff from downtown, sent it to all my influencer friends. I opened my store, I think it was July of 2015, and by the end of that year, I'd already done $70,000 in sales off of $1,000, and that was just basically me sending stuff to girls, promoting Jessica Rich, and not these other brands that were paying me to do that. So I was like, oh my God, now I'm making more than I was getting paid from the PR companies, and now everything made sense now. So 3 years later, Fashion Nova started going crazy like 2 years ago, so I noticed my clothing sales started to drop. Not crazy, but just enough for me to be like, whoa, what's up? Like, why am I making as much money as I was? Because Fashion Nova, girls don't want to spend more than like $25, $30 on outfits. And at the time, I was dating this guy who had a really big flower company. He said to me, Jessica, how about you start a different brand besides your clothing? And I'm like, well, what? And he's like, trying to do shoes. I'm like, shoes? What do you mean? Like, I can't think of any shoe that hasn't been done before. So 6 months later, it came to me. I was laying in my hotel room in New York City, and at the time, clear was a very big style. So I was like, wait a minute, maybe if I do a clear shoe, I think I'll do that. But I couldn't think of which clear shoe to do. So I wore this Louboutin today because this is the reason why I started my shoe line. This exact Louboutin I had in like 15 different colors. It's my favorite silhouette, it's sexy, it's hot, whatever. But I'm like, wait, there's no clear stiletto. Like, there's no such thing. And I Googled it, didn't find it. I'm like, boom, this is the idea I'm doing. So I literally found a factory. I got one sample made. And to this day, 2 years later, this is my #1 shoe. It's called the Fancy Stiletto, and it's been worn by everybody. And I literally didn't have any stock. I was so scared to buy the stock because I wasn't sure if anybody was going to really buy it. So I got one sample made. I had all my influencers, like 10 or 15 girls, promote it on their page. I took a picture of the same shoe like 14 different ways, and they all promoted it, and it was sold out, like triple sold out. I've done like 500 pair, like literally, like within the first year. So now I'm on 25 styles, like 2 years later. So it's pretty crazy. So my whole advice is just keep going because you just never know what's gonna happen. And I'm so happy that those people fired me because I would not be here today. And it's crazy because I'm dropping my men's line next month. No one knows it. I've had like a lot of people like copy me, like Pretty Little Thing, all these big brands, and it's kind of like pisses me off because I'm like, wait, that was my idea, and how the hell are you gonna sell my stuff like half the price that I'm selling it for? But whatever, people know I'm the originator, so if you guys want replica shoes, you can buy replica shoes, but otherwise I'm the first one. So yeah, but men's is now my next division. I'm like, wow, I'm doing a men's line? Like, what do you mean? I would never think I'm doing like a men's line now. So it's pretty crazy. I'm 35, I'll be 35 in 2 days, and I feel like I wouldn't change anything about my life. Not every day do I know what I'm doing. I wake up today, like, what am I doing today? I don't know. Like, as far as like the fashion, I have to keep watching it, but you have to just stay in your own lane and do whatever you feel you should do. Don't follow trends too much, because if you do, you're gonna like not have your own ideas, And I don't know, I think I said all that.
Happy birthday to you as well. It's
Thank
like all
you.
the birthday people
Thank
in here,
you so
right?
much.
But my whole life has kind of been about versatility. I'm the youngest. I'm Megan and Maya are my cousins, so they were already in the game when I was kind of born. So them and my brother, they were acting and moving. So my mom only allowed me to like model until I went on an audition with my brother, and I booked the job over him. They're like, "Can he come in? Can he audition?" So then I got that. From that, I was a child actor. Then they made me stop because, truthfully, I got offered the role of the Nutty Professor's son in a movie, and my mom was like, "Nope, we're done. He's out of here." But I went to school and became like valedictorian and did the whole other route, and I made an agreement with my parents that if I stayed in LA for college that I could act again. Fast forward a year and a half later, I booked a series regular role on Glee, which kind of like took me from being pre-law student to being a working actor, which completely changed my whole trajectory. Fast forward to a couple months previous to this, I was at a meeting with a publicist, and I was trying to get her on board my production company I'm starting, and she actually had a script. She's like, "Hey, will you read my script?" And I read it, and it was incredible, and now I directed her pilot. So it's kind of about being flexible and open to going where God has you, and knowing that you're different avenues and your techniques and your skill sets play to different places. You can be a model today and, a host tomorrow. You can be a host tomorrow and then be a shoe designer the next day, So knowing that versatility is the only thing in this career that'll stay consistent. Because as they said, it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. They say being an entertainer is literally the hardest job in the world because you can go to school for everything else. If you go to school to be an accountant, 10 years later, you're going to be an accountant. You can work as, being a model. 10 years later, you might still not be a model. So I always say past anything else, whoever you believe in, take your dream to God, take your dream to Allah, take your dream to whoever, because it's gonna come a point where it's the hardest thing in your life is your job. Whether you're working, whether you're not. People always think, like, when I book this job, when you book the job, new levels, new devils. You're just dealing with something else. So it's pretty much being like, does God want me here right now? Even if it's hard, even if I'm angry, even if I'm mad at my co-star. We were just saying, like, we actually get along really well, but if we didn't get along really well, this would be terrible, So many times I haven't got along with my co-star,
Most shows, the hosts don't get along.
They don't, You're like, I gotta see you again. But it's your job. And the biggest thing is being able to do whatever you do in excellence. Going back to, again, like how you do one thing is usually how you do everything. So making sure that when life throws you a curveball, enjoy it. I always say, God, thank you for the things I don't know. Thank you for every no. That wasn't rejection. It was just you redirecting me to the path that I was supposed to be on. And in this career, that'll be an everyday encounter. Someone's going to be like, you aren't good enough for this. You weren't what we were looking for. But as long as you're bringing your A game, you know that, all right, cool, one day I will be what you're looking for. I will be the right person. I'm going to be so good you can't ignore me. I'm going to be walking there so great that he might not be right for this, but in a month or two, how about Dijon? Didn't he come in and do that one role? He's right for this. It's planting those seeds so that you're not only winning the job, but winning the room.
Okay, so let's turn it over to some Q&A. You guys have some questions. Now's your opportunity. Definitely take advantage of it. So who has a question? Yes.
Oh, shoot, I get a mic? Okay. First and foremost, my name is Conscious, Koncious. Now, my first question is because not only do I want to be a model, I'm also a music artist as well. What is one heart-wrenching truth that you had to accept about the industries that you guys experienced?
I actually, after Glee, was a music artist as well. That was my focus for a year and a half, was like R&B pop music. And everyone would always tell me I have to choose one. You want to be an actor or do you want to be a singer? And I'd always be like, but I can do both. And I enjoy both. And they kind of bring me like different enjoyments. And that's kind of why I was on the show I was on. But it became a point in my life where I realized that there was only one that I couldn't do without. The one that made me feel like, God intended for me to be in this medium, to be effective in this way. So I think the hard truth for me was being like, it's okay that your plans changed, Dijon. He changed your heart, so now change your plan. Like you thought you always wanted to do that, but you don't anymore. So giving myself permission to be like, all right, cool, I've been working so hard on this, and I might not have gotten the fruit that I thought I was gonna get, but now I'm deciding to no longer put my energy where I know it's not supposed to be. And I'm gonna give all that energy to what I know it should be, because now I'm clear about my direction and my path and like kind of what those footsteps should be.
For me, it's no matter what, people will copy you. I'm still dealing with that every day, and I feel like it used to eat me up, but now I'm like, you know what? If they're not copying you, then you're not great. So I guess it's a compliment for sure.
Very flattering.
I think that I'm a true believer that when you first decide you want to do something, master that first before you move on, because there's a lot of talented people in our business that can sing, like Dijon, Jamie Foxx, Eddie Murphy. There's a lot of people that have shown that they can do both. Lady Gaga, whatever. But I think that like Jamie, he waited till he won an Oscar first before he put out the music album. I think like, for me, when I got into the fashion business, I had to feel like I had reached the pinnacle of what I could take it. You know what I'm saying? So like after, I was ranked on models.com in the top 50 models in the world, and after I had did 20 campaigns and, I had been to Milan and did the whole thing, then I was like, okay, I could move on knowing that I didn't leave I left it all, you know, on the field. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if you try to do too many things at one time, you're gonna be all over the place. You don't want to be all over the place. It's great to show that you can do multiple things, but I think you gotta like get in the game and do well at that one thing, because that's where the relationship's gonna come. Only reason why I was able to have those relationships was because I achieved a certain level of success in the fashion as a model, you know, and then that was able, it only helps, it only works for you though if you get to the certain level. Then those relationships, when you want to do something else, people like, no, okay, he was a winner, he was successful, I can, you know, rock with him and believe that he can probably do this. But if you just try to do too many things at one time, that's not the look, you know. Use the one thing that set you. It's like Jay-Z was the best rapper that he could be first. Then he got into, you know, selling Ace of Spade and Rockaware and Rock Nation and doing all these things. And Puff too, Ciroc and all that. Like, they were the best at what they could be first, and then the other opportunities came. LeBron is producing TV and film now, but he was the best basketball player first. So focus on one thing, get really great at that, and that'll give you more opportunities to do more things.
Okay.
Anyone else? Questions? I think
You like the closest one to me, so.
Hello, my name is Brian. I was just gonna ask, when you guys are feeling really stressed out, what do you guys like to do just to keep your mind off things when you guys are just stressed out?
I pray. I work out a lot.
Yeah, I pray and I go to the spa for sure to just shut my phone off, because I'm on my phone like 29/7 for sure. So. Yeah,
I same thing. I pray. You know, I just tell, you know, Jesus, I trust him. You know, like I'm really big on just saying I trust you. But the other thing too is I read this thing. The Dalai Lama said this thing that by the time you get to the end of your life, you would have spent half of your life happy and half of your life sad. It'll be actually the same, like when you get to the end of your life. So I think that, you know, we put on this earth to suffer too, you know, like embrace the suffering, embrace the being broke. Like, that's part of your story, that's part of your narrative. You've never heard a story or biography told where somebody didn't go through trials and tribulations. So other thing, you gotta know the history too of like people accomplishing great things. Be a reader, read people's biographies, know people's stories, because that'll help you when you're going through real tough times, you know, because I mean, I look at life every day like the Dow Jones, you know what I'm saying? I might start the day up 500 points. By lunch, I might be down 120 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how life is. That shit is a yo-yo sometime. You know what I'm saying? So it's really good to have the information and just know that, like, don't freak out when shit is going bad for you. That's part of the narrative. It's like, you got to embrace that. Like there's great lessons in failure. Great lessons in failure. And, you know, it's like, you know, you look at even like Star Wars, when Luke tried to be a Jedi in the second one, you know, he wasn't ready yet. You know, he failed. You know what I'm saying? But he came back and returned a Jedi, and he was that nigga. You know what I'm saying? So excuse my friend, sorry. But I'm just saying, like, understand that, like, in every great story and every great accomplishment, you gotta suffer. You gonna fail. You know what I'm saying? But embrace it. It's all love. And and pray, work out, and go give massages too. Do that.
Thank you.
Of course. One more question, guys. Last question. Okay.
So my question is probably going to be kind of off the charts, but I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is, of course, you know, a growing area. We just had All-Star Weekend. It's a couple of different things, you know, taking place out there, but it's not a lot of opportunity. So for a person like me, I'm traveling from New York to LA, just all these different places trying to find opportunities. So I guess my question for you guys would be, like, what tips do you have for finding opportunities for models, especially someone like me who is not your average model height, average model weight, different things like that?
Girl, I'm gonna answer this one. I am 5'2" from Albuquerque, New Mexico, okay? And here I am today booking campaigns as a working model and entertainer. So my biggest thing was you have to have the gumption and enough guts to be able to step out of your comfort zone. Neil Donald Walsh says it's the best. My favorite quote, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. At 17 years old, I told myself there is no one here around me living the life that I aspire to see. At the time, I grew up in the era of the hills. Lauren Conrad was the one and only influencer, like in, LA, going to FITM, fashion school. That's what I wanted to do. And I was like, there's no one on TV, there's no one in campaigns that looks like me, who comes from my background. So I was like, I gotta pack up my bags and move. So it's about taking those chances, being brave, not being afraid to step out of the comfort zone, and not being afraid to, be proud of who you are. I'm proud of being a small town girl in a big pond. And I think Dijon said it the other day, it's okay to be a big fish in a small pond. Master that first and then move on.
Question for you, do you act as well? Or do you have aspirations to?
Yeah, I'm aspiring to be an actor, but I'm really starting in the modeling industry. I've actually kind of, since I'm in a small town, taken my talents and help people with the opportunities I have. So I've started my own small agency for models in my own town, but
nice.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I would say, it's a different answer for that, because if you were in acting, it would be a great place to be, because the Southeast region is booming as far as opportunity, for new people. But for modeling, you might actually have to make the move, because modeling is a very niche-based place where more times than not, they're not traveling, to the Southeast to do modeling campaigns like they do TV shows or films. So like she said, you might have to, pack out those bags and go to LA or New York and, really give it a shot. If you feel like you're ready and you're already at a place where you're now sewing into others, and maybe you have to take some of that energy and just, put it all on the line.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. You have to be in LA or New York, unfortunately, because, you're hot, you're gorgeous, everything's going to go well for you. So I would just say it's going to make it a lot faster if you just get where you need to be, where everything is, because everyone else is traveling here every day to live here, and they're all coming just like you are. So you might as well just jump in the hole and just dive in,
Yeah, understand that nobody from LA is from LA. For the most part, or New York. Well, you from the Valley though, so it's not really. Yeah, it's like, Well, anyway, but 98% of the people that are in our business aren't going to be from here. Everybody's imports. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's great now in the fashion business that there's so many more opportunities and so many different kind of models, from plus size to now you got social media. When I modeled, there was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, there was none of the social media, there was no Twitter. So really at that, there was only really one kind of model. And they only classified you as a model if you lived in New York and you was with one of the 5 powerhouses and you went to Milan for Fashion Week. And so it was very specific at when I got in the game, and much harder. Now you can do Fashion Nova, you can do Instagram modeling, the game has opened up so much. But what we used to do too is we would look at the globe and we would be as a person of color, South Africa used to be a place that you would want to spend some time in. So we would go spend 2 months in South Africa in Cape Town, because they have what people don't realize, or maybe they do now, but every magazine that they have the US version for, they have the other country's version for. So they got South African Vogue, South African GQ, South African Bazaar. And so it was a great place for models of color to go get tear sheets, to go get Vogue and go get GQ. So, a lot of models would go there to build their portfolios up before they went to New York. But ultimately, the fashion industry is in New York. If you're trying to do it on a real level, that's sort of the place you have to go. And as I mentioned before, modeling, you're going to have to live out of your suitcase. I had a schedule every year, we would go in December, we would go to Miami because, in December when it's cold everywhere else, it's hot in Florida. And so all the German clients would come to Miami to shoot. A lot of the campaigns, all of the big photographers from Mizell to Herb Ritz to Bruce Weber, Testino, all of the campaigns would be shot in Florida from December to January, and we would all go back to New York for Fashion Week. But in February, you had to keep moving. We was living out of a suitcase. So embrace that.
Yeah, so one more time for who here said that they want to also be an actor? Yes, a lot of people. So we've been kind of like talking about ways that we can open up the model experience and kind of allow people to not just have to focus on one thing, but giving them the tools to definitely be able to venture into other mediums and capitals. And being from Los Angeles, we're talking about doing now the acting experience. So not everyone who also wants to be an actor will have the tools and the ability to learn and grow and do different kind of like platforms. So now you'll experience what it's like to be a model, be an actor, and be able to decide like what do I want to focus on, what do I want to hone and master, and what kind of my lane is. Because like for you, you said you are 5'2"? 5'3"? Yeah, so like modeling for you would probably more so be commercial, you know, or catalog, but there's, believe it or not, way more money in commercial and catalog than it is in runway. But also commercials right now. If you're in LA right now and you had a commercial agent, you could be going out on auditions, you could be going on theatrical auditions, you have a great look for like Freeform and like ABC. So just knowing that you have the ability in this town to do whatever you want to. You want to sing, sing. Go to open mics, have the, you said what? Oh, you're a rapper. Come on, Nicki Minaj. But, you know, just find what Ava said, too, is find your tribe. Find who you want to create with. Find who makes you feel like the best version of yourself. And just create. Be an entertainer. You have no boundaries to what that means.
Being in LA, definitely, this is like the home for being an actor. So you embrace that as a model, in closing on my end. But, like, it was a model that in New York, when I was doing Sean John, he had moved to New York from Florida, and I was sort of like the guy who took him around, and I would take him to castings with me, and he didn't book a lot of jobs as a model. He booked some stuff here and there, and then when I moved to LA, he moved to LA too, and he got a little role in Coach Carter. His name is Channing Tatum, and he became with 15 million, making like $15 million a movie. So. Sometime, again, you are who we can't change our physical appearance. We can't make ourselves 5'10", or, our bodies are what they are. If it makes more sense for you to go in the acting direction, you never know. Actors make more money than models. So, definitely, embrace that, as Dijon said.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here today, and thank you to all of you as well. Now it's time to network.
Thank you for listening to the Model Experience Podcast, live from the Model House.
And that's a wrap.